folks. I am on my way home from work for the last time this week because Corona. Yeah, so everybody's freaking out about a cold. I'm amused, but I do want to say, caveat wise, that it is affecting older folks. It is affecting the young, those who have compromised immune systems, and so I do take that part seriously. You know, if you are on up in years, you know, find some quiet reading to do at home. And this is going to kind of sound contradictory to what I actually want to talk about today, but it's not. Just, you need to listen carefully. So, and I'm not going to talk too much about the virus and all of the crazy that's going on. I will say that I am ecstatic that I did not have to go to my faculty meeting today because that got canceled, and that's fun. Hey guys, come on in, man. Everybody's here. That's cool. I am thrilled not to have to go to my half day tomorrow. I am entertained by the fact that the school system has sent in a public message that all absences of students are excused until April 8th. So you know how the students are going to interpret that, especially mine that can drive. So I don't know how many students I'm going to have if we go back to work on Monday and until April 8th, which is going to be entertaining. But I did tell them, look, I'm not encouraging you to skip. I understand that that's probably how you're going to interpret it, but you're just going to have the ultimate procrastination. But then I also told them I will be posting all my assignments up online so that they could work from home if they are indeed sick or sick. So maybe they won't get too far behind, but they'll get to enjoy a lot more time with their families. So that's cool. For those of us who are healthy, who eat right, get some vitamin C, get you some elderberry syrup. Here in Clarksville, it's a Seasons Market. They have a good supply. Make your own if you grow some. Get out and get some sun. Okay? And you'll be all right. You know, I heard there was a lady in China who's 103 years old, survived. So, you know, it's not nearly as big as some of these past non-sicknesses that we've had in the United States. It's just an election year, so of course, everything's gonna freak out for a little bit here. They gotta have a disease. They gotta have a crisis. And imagine the stock market will bounce back sometime this summer. And so if you're into stocks and all that, now's the time to buy. That's all I got to say about that. My brother could probably give you a little bit more precise advice than that, but you know, whenever the stocks are dropping like this, that just means buy. It's a good time to get into the stock market is when the prices are low. So what I really want to talk about, the main point I want to talk about is that passage there in Hebrews chapter 10 verse 24 and 25. There are a lot of people who use that to say God doesn't want us to skip church. And the idea that you can skip church, you know, church is the people, it's the ecclesia, the called out, whatever. But to use that verse to say that we should not skip going to worship is an improper use of that passage. Now, I am not advocating that you should skip worship. There are a lot of benefits that come from it. I believe we are commanded to assemble, we are commanded to partake, but there are reasons to not go. And I believe, especially for the older folk, that this sickness probably a good idea. I know that my own congregation does post up its worship and stuff online. You can watch it live. I know some people back in Texas who are going to be doing something along those lines. They're going to stay home and they're going to do their worship time via online with family and friends, and that's cool. That's great. Do it. You are definitely not forsaking the Lord there. But what I want to talk about is the real meaning of Hebrews chapter 10 verses 24 and 25. And the idea here is fear. There's a lot of fear going around because of this virus, this cold. And yes, thank you, Stephen, for posting that up. He knows I'm driving, and that's good to have that reference there. So this is about fear. And one of the things that the Christian faith is not is a religion or a faith based in fear. I hear that from time to time, but we are not a religion of fear. We are a religion of love and of faith towards our Creator, and thankful for all the blessings that He has given us. And if we trust in our Creator, trust in His design, the design of our bodies, the design of the universe, His providence, if we trust those things, then we would not be freaking out about a stupid cold. Now, hey Lisa, welcome aboard. And to all the rest of you watching too, that's cool. So, what does Hebrews 10, 24, and 25 actually mean? And again, thank you, Stephen, for posting that up. Verse 25, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. So the Hebrew writer, we don't know who that is. I personally would like to think that it would be Barnabas, but I don't have any evidence of that. It's just a personal opinion. But the Hebrew writer here says that this is the audience is seeing this day approaching, whatever that day is. I believe that this is the day of judgment, or the time of judgment against the Hebrew nation, or the Jewish nation, for specifically their persecution of the church. They'd already murdered Jesus, and now they're, yes, exactly, 2 Timothy 1:7. Thank you for these references, because I'm driving and I cannot look up these things as I go along. But this passage is in the context of the Jewish persecution. You can look in 1 Corinthians 7. Paul is talking about people who are separating, and he talks about this present distress. And if you read through and understand kind of on a global scale what's being talked about, it's this Jewish persecution really had a lot of Christians fearful. So much so that entire congregations were canceling their worship. It wasn't about individuals not showing up. It was about entire congregations. That phrase there, not forsaking the assembling of yourselves together, is reflexive. It's all of them together cumulatively, not forsaking the assembling of yourselves. It's about not bringing the whole congregation together to worship, because you're afraid of the Jewish persecution. And so I'm seeing from place to place, time to time, a lot of push to basically cancel America for a while. You know, the next few weeks, next couple of months. I don't think it'll last that long. The NBA's canceled, NHL's canceled or postponed or whatever. My school got canceled tomorrow. They got the ACT test coming up on Tuesday, so we might be back for a couple of days. But then after that, that's probably going to be canceled, because we got spring break right after that, and you know what the hey. But all of this is getting canceled out of fear. Okay, I don't begrudge them that. These are all secular things. They ultimately don't matter. Whatever. I get paid days off without having to take sick leave. More time with my kids, love it, not complaining at all. So, what does that say about the church? We are commanded upon the first day of the week, 1 Corinthians 11, example given in Acts chapter 20, verse 7, to assemble ourselves for the purpose of taking the Lord's Supper, coming together to worship, but specifically to partake of the Lord's Supper each first day of the week. 1 Corinthians 16, 1 and 2 gives us the idea. Oh, NHL canceled. The idea that we are to come together each first day of the week to worship. The church is required to assemble every first day of the week to worship God. And there's some people that worship once a year, some people worship once a quarter, once a holiday. Most of those are pagan anyway, or have pagan roots. Whatever, the Bible commands us to meet each first day of the week. And if we cancel that as a collective congregation, it's out of fear, and it's a lack of trust in God. It is exactly what the Hebrew writer is telling us not to do. Do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together. Don't cancel worship because you're afraid. Now, I will go back to what I said at the beginning. That does not mean that the elderly and those with babies should show up. Okay? That is an individual consideration, and we need to be wise as serpents, right? Part of that is taking precautions when there is a potential threat there. It's not a fear, it's just a wise choice. And that's a different thing. If those individuals decide not to come, then that is, I believe, perfectly acceptable. Okay? But for congregations to cancel worship out of fear, when those of us who have normal immune systems, all things considered, everything is fine. We're not the aged, the elderly. Look, nobody has any problems with the aged who maybe have trouble seeing at night, not coming during the evening. Nobody has any problems with you have a colicky baby, you stay home, or whatever. So we're just riffing off of that. Not a problem at all for these people to stay home and making a wise decision. But if we cancel worship as a whole, and it's done just out of fear and an irrational fear, this is an irrational fear that we're experiencing as a nation right now. If we do that, then what we're doing is demonstrating a lack of faith in God, and I cannot accept that. So I don't know what my congregation is doing. I have not heard anything. I'm pretty sure that we're going to keep meeting. Our elders are very good elders. They have shown exceptional leadership. I have zero complaints since I began worshiping there last year. I love my elders very much. I believe that we will probably continue. But if they're not flawless men, they certainly have the potential to make the mistake. If something does come up, something happens, and they decide to cancel, then I will be holding worship myself and inviting any of my friends and brothers and sisters in Christ who would like to worship with me, because I will not be skipping worship on any upcoming Sunday in the foreseeable future. I don't think we should cancel worship. So that's all I got to say. I'm almost home, and that covers the topic. I will be on again tonight, especially since I don't have school tomorrow. I will be on again tonight, 9:30, 10, 10:30. Depends on what my youngest allows me to do time-wise. We're going to be talking about Genesis 15 and 16. It's a continuation of a series I've been doing here on Facebook. If you've missed any of it, you can go to my page and look under videos, and you can catch all of them. We're going to be talking about Abram and Ishmael tonight, and I think you're going to find some of this conversation tonight pretty interesting. So, yeah, Steve says there's a greater risk of dying in a car accident than from coronavirus. You don't need to cancel assembling because of having to drive to the building. Yeah, it's a silly thing. You know, people, wash your hands. I shouldn't even need to say that, but apparently we do need to say that. Wash your hands. And if you eat right, you take some vitamin C, get out and get some sun. The warm air, it's turning spring a little bit early this year. God's providence at work again. Viruses don't like warmer air, the humid air, and so no reason to fear. I trust God 100%, not worried at all. So join us tonight, and hope to see you there, and y'all have a wonderful afternoon.